Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. We'll give it another minute to see if... Oh, yep. We've got more people coming in. We're popular today. Okay, here they come. So, you feel a little more confident with this? Good.
Yeah.
Good. So, today we'll try to really kind of zero in on some of these skills today. So we're dealing with SAT practice test number 3. In case you want to look at it on your own, it's in class pages. And I think we finished the first part, or if we didn't, I honestly don't remember where we left off. So why don't we just start with the second passage, questions 12 through 22. There's a couple of different skills in these questions today. So always look at the title, even though you don't have to read these word for word. Look at the title and you get a sense of what it's about. Transforming the American West through food and hospitality. Just as travelers taking road trips today may need to take a break for food at a rest area along the highway, settlers traversing the American West by train in the mid-1800s, you probably learned about that in history last year, right? The Transcontinental Railroad, remember that? They often found themselves in need of refreshment. So they're asking us if themselves is the right pronoun. So, of course, the first thing we do when we have a pronoun underlined is, we reviewed this again this morning, I think, and I think in all the classes, find the antecedent. It has to agree. The noun and the pronoun is going to be referring to a noun, they need to agree in number, meaning are they singular or plural? So if we look at themselves, who is themselves referring to?
The travelers.
The settlers. Very good. And settlers is plural, so it would be themselves. That's the word. Their selves, which is a common mistake, is never right. That's not a word. Himself or herself is too clunky. And oneself would not be appropriate because it's singular. And the antecedent is plural. Very good. However, the food available on rail lines was generally of terrible quality. Now, there's two different questions here, so you may as well read the whole thing. Despite having worked for railroad companies, Fred Harvey, an English-born entrepreneur, he decided to open his own restaurant business to serve rail customers. Now, the first question is asking, which of these choices provides the most logical introduction to the sentence? It's about a guy who decided to open his own restaurant. Now, the beginning of it, despite having worked for railroad companies, well, that could work, except you have the word despite, which really doesn't seem to make sense here. So which one of these has the most to do with the sentence?
C.
C, correct. That sentence should begin, to capitalize on the demand for good food, this guy decided to open his own restaurant business. Very good. The fact that he lived in New York and New Orleans had nothing to do with it. But now, for the second question, I want you to remember what we went over in class this morning. I want you to remember about sentences and about complex sentences.
How you
Now,
often need to replace with the commas?
correct. Very good. See, this by itself, do you see how that's a fragment? You see how that's the beginning of a complex sentence, but it doesn't have the rest of the sentence if we look at the period at the end? So what you need to do with that is combine these two ideas. And we know we don't use a colon because a colon, there's a list or a definition after a colon. We learned this morning that the semicolon is only to be used in compound sentence. This is not a compound sentence. So what's the right answer? How do we punctuate a complex sentence? With a comma. So that's the answer, D. You know, Fred Harvey, an English-born entrepreneur, decided to open his own restaurant business to serve rail customers. All right, so, I mean, this is actually kind of interesting. This was the first restaurant chain in the United States. Now you have millions of them, right? McDonald's, Applebee's, Chili, I mean, you name it. But this was the very first chain of restaurants. Now, I want you to remember what we learned this morning about parenthetical expressions. Let's see if we can do this. These Harvey houses, which constituted the first restaurant chain in the United States, was unique for its high standards of service and quality. What do we need to do here? What do we need to do? Is there something wrong? Well, you can tell what's wrong by identifying. Can anyone identify the parenthetical information here?
It's the which constituted the first restaurant chain in the United States.
Yeah, and what did I tell you to do with this? Just cross it out. Because this is testing subject-verb agreement. You see that you have the verb was here. Was is singular. I was, you were, you know, they were. Were is plural. Was is singular. So if you just cross out this stuff, the parenthetical information, you can see very clearly that was is incorrect because this is plural. This is the subject. These Harvey houses was unique for its high standards? That doesn't sound right. So what should we change that to?
Were unique.
Were unique for their, not its. Remember, we went over this the other day. This its is possessive, there is possessive. So this should be, these Harvey houses were unique for their high standards of service and quality. The menu was modeled after those of fine restaurants. So the food was leagues beyond the sinister fare travelers were accustomed to receiving in transit. Now, this is just a vocabulary question. Connotation. Do you guys know the word sinister?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the connotation of it? It's a negative word, right?
Yeah. Like an
Doesn't
evil.
it what do you think it means?
Like evil. Like
Evil. Yes, evil, creepy. Suspicious, right? Now, is that the way to describe food?
No.
No.
No, no. You're definitely looking for a negative word here, but that's the wrong negative word. Sinister describes people and situations. It doesn't describe food. So what's a word here that means bad that we could apply to food?
D. Icky.
Well, yes, but no. The problem with icky is that it's too informal. I mean, icky would work here, but the problem with it is it's too informal. It's too slangy. So what is
Abysmal.
a better choice here?
Abysmal.
Abysmal. Well, guys, I'm going to be honest. Either you know this word or you don't. All right. This is what I mean about vocabulary. Wait, I have to let somebody in through the lobby. But abysmal, it's related to the word abyss. You guys know what an abyss is, right? It's like a bottomless pit, And that's how bad the food was. It was really terrible. Like it was at the bottom of a pit. Uh-oh, what just happened? Okay, there it is. All right. So yeah, all three of these are negative words, but let me just explain this for a minute. They have different connotations. Surly refers to people. That means rude or unfriendly. That's what that means. Abysmal and icky both mean terrible, but icky is too informal. All right. So the next type of question is the type that might take you a few minutes. You have to kind of really look at it. The writer is considering deleting the previous sentence, this sentence. Should the writer make this change? Well, you can't really answer that until you read the whole paragraph. His restaurants were immediately successful, but Harvey was not content to follow conventional business practices. Although women did not traditionally work in restaurants in the 19th century, Harvey decided to try employing women as waitstaff. In 1883, he placed an advertisement seeking educated, well-mannered, articulate young women between the ages of 18 and 30. Response to the advertisement was overwhelming, even tremendous, and Harvey soon replaced the male servers at his restaurants with women. Now, the paragraph keeps going on, but I think we have enough. Is this a good topic sentence for this paragraph?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm glad you see that. The point is that he was not content to follow conventional business practices, and it was unconventional in the 19th century to hire women. So what's the right answer here? Both the yeses are wrong. The information is not irrelevant, and it does logically follow from the previous paragraph. So which of the no answers would be correct here?
C.
C, good. It provides a logical introduction to the paragraph. It's a good topic sentence that introduces what the rest of the paragraph will be about. Good. So now we just have to kind of use our ear and pick the least awkward and the least wordy choice among, they all say the same thing. So they just want you to phrase it the most effectively. Response to the advertisement was overwhelming, even tremendous. And Harvey soon replaced the male servers at his restaurants with women. So is that the best way to say that? Or is one of these better? Let me ask you this. Do you need both words, overwhelming and tremendous? Do you need both of them?
No.
No. They're
No.
redundant, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So really, the best response here is B. Response to the advertisement was overwhelming, and Harvey soon replaced the male servers at his restaurant. So I guess you're asking, well, all right. This would be wrong anyway, because it's not in the active voice, it's in the passive voice. And the passive, we try to avoid the passive voice. Nobody is doing anything. Passive voice means nobody is doing anything in this sentence. It's not active. There isn't an active verb here. And, you know, that would be better if you said people responded overwhelmingly to the advertisement. Then it shows action. Then you've got the active voice going on. But just be careful and just notice when things are being said twice. That's never good on the SAT. So keep your eye out for this type of redundancy. So anyway, just to sum this up, these women who worked at these restaurants became famous. They were called the Harvey Girls, and they became famous all over the country. They wore identical black and white uniforms and carried out their duties with precision. Not only were such regulations meant to ensure the efficiency of the business and the safety of workers, but also helped to raise people's generally low opinion of the restaurant industry. Well, something's missing here. Not only were such regulations meant to ensure the efficiency of the business and the safety of the workers, and if you're not sure what's missing, just look at the answer choices. But also helped, but also helping, also helping. Now, folks, it starts out with not only. Now, whenever you start out with not only, somewhere in the sentence you need but also. So you need both those words, not only and but also. They go together. But the problem is here, you need the pronoun. So the right answer here is, but they also helped. They also helped to raise people's generally low opinion. This seems very short and it seems incomplete. If you add the they, you know, referring to the regulations, you'll, you know, just use your ear. It just sounds better. It just sounds more complete. Okay, so now we have to keep this paragraph in mind, right? All about, you know, the way these women worked and how they were hired and all that. In return for the server's work, the position paid quite well for the time. $17.50 a month, plus tips, meals, room and board, laundry service, and travel expenses. Now, which of these sentences would be the most effective to end this paragraph with? Which one keeps the unity of the paragraph? Just look at them carefully. Now, since this is about the restaurant servers, does this sentence have anything to do with the restaurant servers?
No.
No. This is about the entrepreneur, Harvey. It's not about the restaurant servers, so that would be wrong too. These benefits, which have just been mentioned, enabled the Harvey girls to save money and build new and exciting lives for themselves in the so-called Wild West. Do you see how that sums up like the whole paragraph?
Yeah.
You see that? So remember, this is paragraph unity, folks. The paragraph has to be about the same topic. All the sentences in the paragraph have to be about the same topic. Well, let's look at D, just for completeness. The compensation was considered excellent at the time, though it may not seem like much money by today's standards.